There was a time as a woman, you need to be married to own a bank account. It was that bad. Why should the business be named after you? Are you the, for crying out loud, business has to be named after the man so that the male child can inherit the business name and propagate the family name. Normally, the thinking is, what does a woman offer? The deeper conversations about gender roles will be how you treat a girl child or a woman in a home. Not necessarily how much does a woman participate or not.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this interview. We have with us here Joheobe Iyanya. She is a media and gender communications expert, an executive presence coach, and public speaker dedicated to helping women build confidence, influence, and professional visibility. With a background in media and broadcasting, including experience as a producer and presenter, she builds a unique perspective on communication, leadership, and public engagement. Through her work as a moderator, coach, and mentor, she supports women in developing strong voices in leadership, visibility, and executive presence. Her work also extends into advocacy around gender, media representation, and leadership development. Please let's all welcome.
I'm so happy to be here.
It is an honor to be in your midst. Like, we cannot even thank you enough for joining us today. So we'll just get right into it. What were the biggest challenges women faced during your own time? And do you think that those challenges are still in existence?
That question always sounds the same. It was there before, and unfortunately, it's going on. The answer, unfortunately, looks very similar. We had challenges like male child preference, which informs how families treat the males in the home, especially in the area of education. As of back then and now, so many more girls are out of school. So we've had challenges of lack of access to education, then the almighty lack of access to resources. It's still going on. You know the battle that it takes for a woman to control her own resources. You talk about property, access to property. The battles are still going on in families, sometimes in a whole community. You know, the whole community decides a woman cannot get a land, you know, for instance. So yes, some of those challenges, access to health, it's common to everybody, maybe not just females, but for women, it's peculiar because of the very role we play in reproduction. So pregnancy is not an ailment, but you know what it does to a woman, and you need access to healthcare to reduce mortality rates. Unfortunately, we have such a bad record when you compare to global standards. You compare the fact that we are just a meager 2.5% of global population, but we have up to 26% maternal mortality rate. That speaks to something. And we're talking about 2026. So the challenges are still there. Maybe a lot more grave back then, 50 years ago. But tell me the truth, when you cast your mind to your villages, tell me what's going on there.
So, of recent, I saw an interview that they were talking about, you know, in the Igbo land, I'm an Igbo girl.
Aha.
So, where we do businesses and everything, when there's a shop, it is a man that owns it, but who runs the shop? Most of the time, when you go to all these shops, you see it is the wife that is there. Go to the market, it is the wife that is there. But then, the name on the shop is the man.
Emeka and Co.
Exactly.
The Co belongs to the woman and the children.
Exactly. The woman, but it is the woman that is doing all the work, making sure that that business stays afloat. But then she never gets credit for that. And it is still happening right now. So at what point do you think that it would change? Do you think it will get better anytime soon?
So I have found that transformations take generations to occur or to feel the difference. It takes so long. But the fight must begin now and must continue. It must be a sustained effort. So it can change, but it may not change within the period of your own lifetime. You, the activist, you, the aspirant, you understand. But that little contribution you make in your time would make a difference for tomorrow. Like the benefits we have today, that you can actually own your property as a woman, was a fight some people made 50 years ago. They're not here to benefit by that some 100 years ago, but they're not here to benefit by that, that privilege that we now enjoy as a right. Like you can own your own bank account. There was a time as a woman, you need to be married to own a bank account. It was that bad, right? So why should the business be named after you? Are you for crying out loud? So that is why a business has to be named after the man, so that the male child can inherit the business name and propagate the family name. Normally, the thinking is, what does a woman offer? Yeah. But it's changing. But it will change only by the little efforts we all make from our families, particularly from the family. Society is a product of the family. So yes, when change begins at that micro level of a father and a mother, giving gender roles at home, treating everybody equally, change has begun.
I just wanted to go in line with household and gender roles and things like that. So I think there's been a trending conversation online where people were like, oh, is it okay for a mom that is supporting the household to tell the children that, oh, like, yes, this money for your school fees came from me? Because I feel like in the olden days, they always try to cover fees for the dad. Like, oh, yes, even if it's the mom that's earning it, it's your dad that paid your school fees. So even though the money came from her, they give the car to the husband, let the husband be the one to pay and things like that. So is it okay, like in these days, for us to say, oh, yes, it was your mom who did it. Your mom was the one who paid your school fees. She contributed to, so that the light can also be on women. Like, and it is not an embarrassment to the man that the woman is also contributing.
So I actually think blocking that conversation into the idea of gender roles is a very mistaken perspective to what gender roles constitute. Because a typical home should be built by both parents. The only instance, in most cases, you find a woman intervening is when a man is unable to. So that should be a matter of respectful relationships. So I think that conversation should not be classified as a gender role issue. That should be defined by gender roles need. The deeper conversations about gender roles will be how you treat a girl child or a woman in a home. Not necessarily how much does a woman participate or not. That is now lifting, it's entering other spaces, if you ask me, in terms of how men and women should relate when it comes to funding the home. Because strictly, that's what it is. When you actually talk about gender roles and you insist that it's only the man, in this day and age that both men and women are getting educated, you want to be educated, but you still insist that you should not participate conventionally, or the need to let your children know that you did. Look, when there's love in the midst, that issue will be properly handled. It will not be a question of, oh, I played the role, so the family should know that I played the role. If you cast your mind around, I had a mother that was very sacrificial, but it was never an issue to put her forward for us to know that she was doing something. So this is a modern day tweak that I think has reduced the whole conversation of gender roles to finances. And it's more than just who pays the bills in a home. If you truly, as a woman, earn more than your husband and you love your family, shouldn't you put that money on the table for both of you and the children? Just a question to think about.
Yeah.
But if I understand what you want to drive home, clearly, modern day girls, a lot of them earn more than their husbands. So what should such a home look like? I guess that's the question you're asking. So what do you think such a home should look like?
So for me, it would be two people who love each other, a family unit that love each other. Money should never be an issue. Money, we are both spending, we are both taking care of bills. Nobody has to come and say, oh, I paid the child's school fees today. Oh, I paid.
You sincerely believe that? If you do, let her answer the question too. What do you think such a family should look like? Especially if a woman is earning more than a man. Because that question rises usually when a woman is earning more. When the man is earning more and is putting the bills, picking the bills, you don't hear anything. So what do you think?
So I feel like when two people are married, the person who has more should contribute more is basic, right? But I feel like where the issue comes is when they decide that, oh, despite the fact that she's contributing more, she doesn't deserve to be seen in that light of being the major contributor. So despite the fact that she's putting in more and contributing more, they're like, oh, say that it is the man that did it so that, quote and unquote, he still maintains his space as the head of the family.
I will synthesize what both of you have said. What that actually means is, in a typical home where the man is respectful of his wife and he knows that for now he's not picking the kinds of bills that he's expected to, there will be peace and harmony in that home. If the man does respect his wife, but if he feels that you're picking these bills and you're challenging me, I don't think the children should know about this. That's toxicity low-key. Mm-hmm. So that's why I said this conversation is not really about gender. If you insist that bills picking should be a gender role matter, well, we have to shift it a little bit outside of the typical struggles that women have in terms of being seen and all of that. This one now is a bad relationship happening that brings this conversation. Unfortunately, money dominates our families. Money dominates conversations much too often. So often that, unfortunately, if you're stuck in the past, if it were not for extra exposure to the dynamics of the reality of the times, I would say, come on, a good man should pick the bills. But what if? What if he cannot? So what happens to a family? It breaks down because a man cannot, because they have to see you as the provider. What we're dealing with here is respect. And we always, toxic masculinity is a major problem. Is a major problem. That is where the problem is. It is not about who is paying or whose role it is to pay a family's bill. Honestly, when two people come together for two or few. That's the best way to run a family.
So,
but did that sink well? Did it work?
Yes.
Is that a fair enough solution to how, younger families can move?
Okay, so I think what I got from all you said is that it is not a matter of gender roles, it's a matter of who you pick to make your family with. So pick someone who respects you.
You even increased it. I didn't, I wasn't even, so I just need you to get that clear, because that is what it is.
Okay, so education is very important. So can you just tell us how education, or what important role education played in your life? And also, now there are so many girls in maybe universities that their parents are literally begging them to complete schools. They're like, oh, I don't want to complete school. I want to start a business, one thing. But how would you say that education has shaped your life? And what advice will you give to families that are struggling with girls that want to drop out of school?
The struggle is the word, because it's so real. I would say families must get active actively involved in ensuring that girls stay in school. And actively involved means when that decision about, oh, so this is how much we have as a family, who should drop off from school. Don't pick your daughter as the one that must drop off. So she can, probably go out there and source for money to fend for others. Don't just pick. Don't do that. So families ought to be actively involved in that, because in time past, it was just natural. The decision, you didn't have to think about it. Automatically, the girls, please just go to the kitchen. Just go there and to churn out the meal so that the boys, at least, let's use this little one we have to fund the boys. That is a wrong perspective for 2020s. It was wrong then. We've seen the result, and it's even worse now. If any family is judging on who deserves education more than the other based on sex. So clearly, families have a huge role to play. And for me, education has made a world of difference to the opportunities I have gotten. It's by virtue of my education that I wound up as a media practitioner. It's by virtue of further education that I've come to learn that even with just education, it's not enough. The girls still have challenges showing up and, penetrating the public sphere, because all the time we're told you are meant to be at home. You're either at home as a daughter, helping the house, or you should be at home taking care of Oga and the kids, that kind of thing. But education has helped me, for instance, stepped out, seek opportunities. It has built my confidence, and that's one of the huge things education can do for you. And I mean education in the proper sense, even if it were schooling or self-taught, whatever it is, some form, but particularly organized education, we need more scholarships if we want girls to push further. We need better school systems, equipped school systems that are accessible. You know how it is. If you don't have a school in your community, it's very easy to just... So that, again, is something government can make a difference in. So we need many more school facilities so that many more girls can have access to education. One of the key things that have stunted a lot of women's education is marriage, early marriage. Somehow, not many women have the capacity to go into marriage early and still hone their educational journey. For several reasons. So yes, early marriage, not allowing the girl, at least let her pass through that secondary school. But when your secondary school is stunted, do you know what it takes to buy it back? So those are the issues. If we have families actively involved, it will start from there. Like a father and a mom who says, my children, these ones, they will go to school. You will find that it will be better life for the whole family. And long run, the whole community. Like they say, educate a girl and you educate what? Is it a lie? You will agree that because they are girls, right?
But that's true.
But is that your reality?
Yes, that's true. Because I know what I am doing with the little education I have and how much, like the ripple effect and how it's touching other people's life. So, but Peter, we want you to answer this question. For young girls, because your age or maybe younger than you, that want to drop out of school, what do you think families should do to ensure they stay in school? It's not money problem. Their parents have the resources to send them to school. But the girls are like, oh, education is overrated. If I go and get the certificate, what happens next? So what do you think families should do? Because it is within your circle.
So I feel like in situations like this is mainly mindset, right? And I feel like in these days they have pushed the mindset that money is the most important thing in the world. Like, oh, can marry one rich man if you give him money. It doesn't matter his age or yes, just going to business, going to for some weird reason we have pushed this mindset that the most important thing in life is money. It's not integrity, it's not your values, none of that matters. Just be rich. Once you're rich, everything works out. So it comes down to that mindset, sort of. So a lot of ladies who are leaving school, they don't realize the fact that education is a lot more than just money. It is who you become at the end of the day, right? It makes you much more than a rich woman, quote unquote, is much more than income, right? It gives you the mindset of, oh, like this is who I'm becoming, this is the world that I want to create for myself, this is how much I want to impact other people. And they don't realize that, right? So I think the world needs to shift away, especially Nigeria. We need to shift away from that money is everything mindset. As long as you have money, is fine, right? And then start teaching people that like it comes down to who you become. You cannot live your life as someone who is. You need the knowledge to become a better version of yourself. I think that's it.
Maybe I'll say a little something. And talk about girls dropping out of school. It's so sad. It may not be obvious right now, but we'll soon see the statistics. This lack of safety in schools is a thing that can traumatize, especially up north. You know that already there is a very low rate of school enrollment. And a girl might just decide, I'm not ready to die. You now associate schooling with dying or disappearing. It's a reality that may not have surfaced in our statistics yet, but I know it's going on. Families are dealing with it. In fact, a mom might just decide, I cannot risk it ahead of the girl. A family can decide, I love my child too much. And you know that most of these unsafety in schools, but we see more statistics happening in girls' schools for some queer reasons.
Yeah.
They're sending a message. So already there's a, there's a low rate up north, and it's increasing by the day because of lack of safety. So we need safer school environments so that the girls will feel a desire to show up, in school and not. And definitely your point about quick money is huge. Education is a scam. I hear that.
That's what they say now.
Right?
Education is a scam. I'm like, how did we get it wrong? That's my question. Where did we get it wrong? The exposure that the young girls now have to social media and then seeing the lifestyle of other people seem to have given them that idea that, yes, I don't need to go to school to own a Birkin. I don't need to go to school to do all of that lifestyle kind of thing. And it's sad.
I know that schooling adds 1,001 advantages. Just the mere fact of going through schooling adds advantage to your vision, to your dream. Whatever you think the alternative offers, education will give you even more.
Thank you so much.
So also, like in the light of the unsafe schools, right, and how parents don't want to send their children to school. So I think education a lot of times starts at home, right? The people that take school seriously a lot of times are people who from the house, their parents have drilled it into their head that this is a very important process. So it comes down to what you said about how educating the woman at the end of the day educates communities, because educated women, a lot of time, they will take the education into their hands by themselves and be like, okay, maybe we can't send you to school, but you must learn the basics at home. You will know how to read, you will know how to do this. So even if they didn't go to school, you see the fact that, oh, they have the rudiments of education because they had education, educated
Themselves,
parents.
yes. Yes.
So yeah. Okay. So I also wanted to ask, like, when it comes to income, right? Do you think it's important for women to have their own source of income, and how has a lack of money affected women in your generation?
Income, independence, economic independence gives woman dignity. That's the first thing. Gives you confidence. It does. It helps you be a part of decision making for yourself, your family, and the society. That's how financial independence works. So why should a woman be robbed of all of these things? Why should you be robbed of your dignity? Why should you be robbed of your decision-making power? For instance, as basic as going to school. If you have your own money, won't you train yourself? That basic level. But there are 1,001 decisions you need to make as a woman in the course of life that without financial independence, access to financial resources, you can't play a part. You won't do well. So it's very critical. You talked quite early on about, how the man owns the business, but the woman runs it. How fair is that? So yes, for all intents and purposes, economic independence is very powerful. It makes a world. Some of the marriages you see that are sticking on, it's because the woman knows that once she steps out of that door, she can't survive. And she's used to a certain life under that roof. So you stay with the abuse, even if it's abusive, you stay with it. In fact, you quickly deny it if people kind of express concern, because you don't want to lose the benefits, financial benefits that comes with staying, plus of course all the other reasons why a good woman should be married, right? That's what makes a good woman. So yes, those are all the, so to protect against financial vulnerability, you've got to do a few things for yourself, As a young mind, a lot of young people don't even like taking paid jobs these days. So there's a lot of things you can do with skills, right? Practical things you can do, and you're on your way to financial independence. So many practical things. I'm sure you guys are familiar with how creative you are in the digital space, and there's a lot of opportunity there, So financial independence is nearly next to bearing your name.
So for me, as a married person, right, and someone that has children, I see financial independence as having a voice, right, and also choice. I can speak. It gives me, I can speak when something is going wrong. I cannot be like, because of what will happen, I don't have money, I have to be quiet. And then most importantly for me, it gives me that power to give. I love to give. I don't have to go and ask my husband, so and so person, my friend is having an issue and I want to help out. Come and give me money to give her. I mean, somehow now, we are supposed to be lifting our sisters up. So if I have my own money, if my purse is not empty, I can take out something from there and give people. And to me, that is what is really, that gives me joy, being able to help people like with my money.
I like that you like giving. But so statistics actually has it that at least 90% of women's earnings are invested in their family. Women like to parade that. but men are wondering, all this money I put down, so yeah. But the truth is, when a woman has, she can invest in her family. When she doesn't have, what will she do? So it's so important. It's important for the family. It's important for yourself. In fact, it's important for a developed nation. Because how do you fancy 50% of your population, as Nigeria is, 50% of them don't have any economic power, right? Yeah. So that's a broader implication. Yeah, and we're getting to better days now. Many more women are accessing, financial, income, whatever you call it, whatever space they're operating. It's a lot better, yes. But there's so much more to be done. Yeah.
So when businesses go to rural communities. I think they did a research about it, and they said that they prefer to give money to women because they realize the fact that they manage the finances more. And at the end of the day, because they're always thinking about their family, like what you said about giving, they're always thinking about, oh, okay, so now that I have this money, I need to put it here, put it here. But like most times when they give the money to men, especially of lower income households, like they don't end up seeing the results, right? So women are better financial managers, whether they choose to
This
accept
one,
it or not.
without any statistics, you can even see it. You see it because the way the rural woman, truly the way the rural woman funds her family, you too cannot fund it. Do you know that a typical rural man, if he brings home that yam, that is the end of his contribution to that kitchen. So my grandmother is there. If she's the industrial type, she's there selling this and selling that. Anything that's in season, she's selling it. Every day she's buying soup, preparing it. The man is not aware of how come that the yam he brought from the farm. But because the farm belongs to him, so the yam is in his name. But who did the work? It's the women and the children. So last, in the villages, in the rurals, that research is so true. And it goes on. If you go there physically, you will see it. You don't need a research to prove to you, you know. So yeah.
Okay, so also in line with the rural area, quote and unquote. So let's talk about culture and tradition because we're Africans, right? So we're in a very cultural society, right? So how do women stay in line or respect their culture whilst you're advocating for their rights?
So I would say that any culture that is uniting, any culture that is progressive, please respect it. Please respect it. But any culture that denies you your dignity, that denies you your sense of self-worth, that harms you physically, because there are some cultures that physically harm you, breast ironing, female genital mutilation. Resist those ones, right? But there are 1,000 beautiful cultures we have that one of those things that we've taken away from our culture is as basic as resilience. You know, you can see resilience around our rural environments. That's a spirit to continue. The resilience that your grandmother wakes up in the morning, 5 a.m., she goes to the stream, comes back, sweeps the house, then does one quick morning meal. If you're lucky, our people are going to school here, or then before they head out to farm and all of that, and she comes back and still wears a smile and agrees to enter grandpa's hut. That level of resilience, we need to continue it in this modern day now, because our lives have even made easier. It's not as tough as grandma's life. Yeah. So any culture that is uniting, I can't even start naming them. As diverse as our cultures are, we know the ones that are uniting. We know the ones that are progressive. Please stick with them. But anyone that bodily or mentally harms you, you have a right to resist it. Advocate for your rights and run with it. 1,001 heinous reproductive rights, health reproductive, oppressions go on. Is it the land thing? It's a cultural thing now. They say you cannot inherit it, first lady. I have a story, quick one. First daughter of a home, consistently, in fact, builds the house that the family lives in. But pa dies and then papers disappear. Papers disappear because the first girl is the one who built the house, but papers disappear. You know why papers? The second one is a male, but the papers disappear, cha. Nobody is accessing those papers. But your guess is as good as mine. Who is having those papers? So that goes on, you know. So yeah, respect those cultures that, you know, are still worth your while. Or fight the ones that harm you, That's just the little thing I can say in that area, because the whole conversation we're having here emanated from bad cultural practices. So I don't want to break it down. From male child preference, it tapered into how a girl is treated, from not making a girl become promiscuous, FGM came in, right? So let me not talk about, just identify the one that's progressive, go with it. The one that is not.
What is that one lesson from your life that you think like young ladies, young women should actually emulate or they should learn early? Something that has happened in your life that you feel like, okay, at an early age, young ladies should be able to pick that up.
Every young lady should have a vision early on. Early on. From that little girl stage, you should begin to mold your vision. Unfortunately, not too many people are allowed the space to mold and have their own vision. Parents don't do a good job of molding your vision for you. They actually impose you with a vision. But I think, for me, if you have your vision quite early on in age, you get to a point where you begin to negotiate with your gatekeepers, with your parents, with your uncles, with your aunties. You negotiate with them because you have an idea of where you're going to. So for me, that has been a huge rudder. It's a guide to how I have turned out. I always knew something that I wanted, not all that I wanted, but for every stage, I had an idea of what I wanted. So if you offered anything that was too contrary to what I wanted, and as I grew older, the vision became more certain. So I could actually talk my way through it and have my way. And then in the long run, they actually leave you to have your way. So it's still about you, but have a vision quite early on in life. And I always advocate that you teach young persons vision boards from primary age, at that formative stage. Just keep talking to them. The more they are reflective, the more they talk, the more they understand what they are supposed to position themselves for. So I would say, have a vision. Your own vision. Do you want me to tell you what society vision for you is?
Get married and have children.
Just have a vision. Even if your vision is marry, and that's fine. Have a vision.
Let's be your own vision.
Start with yourself. Yes.
Thank you so much. What is that one thing that you think older women and younger women can do together to build a better nation?
A better nation. Well, I would say the older women must bring their wisdom to bear. The younger women must be ready to learn. But especially the older women must try to mentor. You must try to mentor. If you don't mentor, how do you replicate? But you must have a listening ear, a seeking heart as a younger woman to be able to latch onto the wisdom that you may gain from associating or uniting with the older generation. So you don't go like those ones, old school, I beg. They won't help you. So you need a middle place where you can come together and glean from each other. That way, I believe, we can come forward with a more united voice. So mentorship is key. That's what I'm trying to say. But you also have to seek it out because sometimes these women are busy. So they're not even aware that that's what you want. They may know that is what you need, but they are also saddled with their own responsibilities. So everybody must make an effort to now have a more united voice. Let it not be, that is old school. Me, this is not my thing. You get. Okay. So I believe with that kind of coordination, our voices will resonate even louder than ever if we're able to get a connect between the older and the younger generation.
So thank you so much for all you've said. So what I'm hearing is that the older generation is not just passing a torch to the younger generation, but rather we are building a bigger fire together. So each person's firewood stick is lighting up the other person's. Yeah, so we are all building a huge fire that would engulf the nation and make sure that women's rights are ahead and women's issues are being advocated for in a larger aspect. So thank you so much.
Couldn't say it better.
Thank you so much.
This is a huge privilege to be on the CISD platform, sharing and driving conversations on women empowerment. Thank you so much, CISD. Happy International Women's Day.
Thanks.